Hello everyone, this is Will Whitfield from W3 Productions, and I wanted to present this tutorial on how to move a character from Daz Studio into Blender 3D. I've personally seen some tutorials out there on how to do so with different methods. A lot of them have to do with using scripts of some kind to convert it into the right format to bring it into Blender. But with the advances of Daz and Blender, I suppose it is now possible to do that without any scripting whatsoever. So I want to show you that method and also some tips and tricks along the way to clean up your scene after you've done so. So we're going to start here in Daz Studio 4.10. I already have a character here, Corey 6. It is based on the Genesis 2 male, and I've applied a kind of poorly matched running animation with it, but we just wanted to show that we can move animations along into Blender. So here we go. It's just a 110 frame running animation, and at 120 frames per second, that was what the animation had. I'm going to rotate here and just show what it is. You see the hands are kind of clipping through the body, and that's just how it is. It's not really important for what we're about to do. The fingers are kind of straight for whatever reason. That's okay. So, to get it out of Daz, we are going to make sure our character is selected, and we're going to be using the film box or FBX format. So we will go to File and Export, and I've done this once before, so I'm just going to reuse this name and overwrite it, Daz to Blender. Make sure that Autodesk FBX is selected. You have a lot of choices here, so hit save. It's going to ask me, you won't get this, but it already, just to overwrite thing, yes, I want to overwrite. So these are the options that I use in the FBX export options. Make sure, of course, to select it. The figures, now animations definitely, and I usually use these. I also use these options here. I'm not sure which ones are absolutely necessary. However, they seem to work, so I keep using them. So I'm going to hit accept, and then it's going to go through the conversion process, and you'll see it will zero out your figure. It's not deleting anything, it's just part of the conversion process. So it will do that around 40%, and then after that you may see it, depending on how long the animation is, it will go through each frame of the scene. This one's short enough that it probably won't do that, but you'll see a lot of other rigging and other activities here in this dialog box. So it should only take a few more moments. And when you see this dialog box disappear, the export is complete. So now we will go to Blender 3D. And actually, for computer resource sake, I'm going to actually close my Daz Studio. I just personally not going to save anything I have here, just so my computer won't crash, because we got a lot going on here with using OBS Studio to record this. And I'm going to actually only use this default cube for an example here, so I'm going to keep it and move it. But before I do that, I want to display my screencast keys so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to move this up one on the Z-axis, and then I'm going to move it, drag it back on the Y-axis a little bit. I'm just going to pretend that's a building for right now. So to import our character, we're going to go to File, Import, FBX. We're going to find a folder with our character. Here we go, Daz to blender.fbx. And we have two important things we need to check on in the Import FBX options. On the main tab, we're going to go to the bottom here, and make sure that we have use pre-post rotation unchecked. And then we're going to go to the Armatures tab and check automatic bone orientation. Make sure those are set properly. And then hit import FBX. Now that may or may not take a while depending on the complexity of what you're importing and what the scene that you're importing to, I suppose. And here we have our character, and we'll see the keyframe differences. I presume that's why it is a lot less frames than the 110 that it was before, but that could be corrected within the dope sheet editor if you wanted to. But just to prove we have our animation there, I'm going to briefly move or change it to the material viewport to show that the materials for the most part came in along too. We had to make some corrections, but I'll show you that in a moment. And we see we have our materials. The main issues I have here are that the eyes are not visible the way it should be. The eyelashes are just one big solid shape, and that the hair is not completely what it should be. You can kind of see here, there's a line here. There's a little band of hair here that's actually part of an alpha channel that shouldn't be showing up when we go to rendered view. And now I'll show you how to correct that. But first, we need to correct the armature. So I'm going to go back to solid view and just scrub it one more time to see what's going on. It is moving right here in relation to the origin, which is right here. It's just moving in relation to that. Let's say, for example, in our scene, we want it to run behind this building or this block, this cube. So we're going to move this origin over behind the cube. And then we're going to scrub one more time. And we see that it moved right back in front, back to the origin. And that's because this origin, or the armature, has its own set of keyframes. Not just the bones within the armature, but the armature itself has keyframes for location, rotation, and scale. So we need to delete those in order to move the character around while maintaining the animation itself. So to do that, I'm going to move this pane up and then change it to the dope sheet editor. The armature is called Genesis 2 Male, and I'm going to expand this, and you will see that each and every bone, the bones are here in parentheses, has its own location, quaternion rotation, and scale keyframes. What we're looking for is a set of keyframes that does not have anything in parentheses. That is the set that is for the armature itself. You'll also notice that it will have a Euler rotation instead of quaternion. So we have to go and have to scroll down and keep scrolling. It could be anywhere in this set. It could be at the beginning, the middle, the end, anywhere, and it's different every time. And it's kind of easy to spot once you get used to it. So here we are. We have this whole set of values without anything in parentheses. So this is what we're looking for. So we're going to hit A to deselect all keyframes, and then we're going to click on the first one, and then we're going to hold Shift and click on each of these. So you have a total of 9, and we're going to delete this whole set by pressing X. Now, if we were to move our character back behind the cube and scrub again, we see it stays behind the cube where we wanted it to be instead of snapping back to the origin. So that is how you would take care of that. I'm actually just going to move back to the origin disk for our next part, which is setting up the materials. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you a preview of what things look like in rendered view, and then show you how to correct the materials afterwards. I might not talk as much when it's in rendered view because the computer can't handle all of that, so you won't hear me anyway. So, but before I do that, I need to light the scene properly so you can see what I'm talking about. And what I'm going to use is the Dynamic Sky add-in for Blender. Those comes in version 2.79. It's a cool add-in that gives you a world sky that is has a lot of control options that you can use. So you would just go to user preferences and start typing in dynamic, and you would check this box, and then you would have the add-on in your tools tab in the toolbar. So you would hit create, and then you would go to the world tab and change your world from world to dynamic 1, and you'll see that a lot of options come up. You can change the color of the sky, the brightness of the sun, or the sky itself, the sun's values and the direction of the sun, so forth and so on. But we just need the basics for the lighter scene here. So I'm going to show you, hit period to focus on this object a little bit better. I'll show you what's kind of going wrong here. Hit box select because I don't want to render everything, just the head mostly. I'm going to hit Shift Z to go into render view. So here we are in rendered view. We see the hair can be probably a little more refined, and that this band of hair right here at the hairline, it actually does not need to be here. And by fixing the alpha of these materials, including the eyes right here, we will get the desired results. The alpha channel is set up incorrectly, and I'll show you how to fix that. So I'm going to hit Shift Z to go back to solid view. I'm going to click on the hair material or object, go to materials tab, and we have 4 materials associated with it. They represent different parts of the hair. So I'm going to change this dope sheet to the node editor, and we see, and this is a basic setup for all the materials that come in with a Daz character. You see here in the middle we have a image texture that feeds the diffuse materials. You see that for just about everything. Some materials may have a image texture that feeds the normal map or the specularity and so on. This particular material has a image texture that feeds the alpha nodes, and it's set up incorrectly. The problem we have is that this alpha shouldn't be feeding this color. You think it would, but it's wrong. So what we need to do is actually make color go to color. Let's see if I can demonstrate this in the preview panel. It may or may not come up. You can kind of see it here. Oh, here it is. You have the hair strands, but you also have this white space here as well. And when we correct it, that will go away. So we go color to color. Very simple. And you see right away that is just the hair strands. That's all we want to have, and we'll do that for each material. Color to color. Same thing with the scalp. Color to color. Also with the cap, which is the side part of the hair. And this hasn't updated yet, but that's okay. Do color to color. Now I'm going to hit Shift Z again to go back to rendered view and just show you the difference. Shift Z again to get out of that. Back to solid view. Now I want to show you how to fix the eyes. It's pretty much the same thing. The eyes are actually part of the body object. I know some figures eyes are actually separate, but not in this case. It's part of the body object, and we have a multitude of materials for the different parts of the body. And so I'm just going to arrow down to each one to see if there is a image texture fitting out, because some it may vary. These want to kind of check each one and make sure that you got all of them. Of course, the legs wouldn't have an alpha, so we don't need that. So we go down to the next one, eye reflection. It does have one, same method. Maybe I should close that because it's causing some lag. And arrow down to each one until we see something here for an alpha texture. Cornea has one. Keep arrowing down. The eyelashes, so we get rid of those big bushy eyelashes. They'll be barely visible, that's okay. And I think that's it. Tongue and inner mouth now. So I'll show you again what that looks like. So yeah, much better. We see the eyes are better now, the hair is better, and eyelashes are barely visible, but they are what they're supposed to be. And that's it for materials. Clothing really doesn't have that problem unless you have a special type of clothing, maybe sheer or something like that. But most clothing doesn't need any correction. And so we've addressed bringing the character in, how to fix the armature for the most part, and well, there's one more thing with the armature. We fix the material. Good. Not sure we've addressed. No, we didn't. We did not address something that goes on with the hands. What can go wrong with the hands is that we see that the bones in the fingers and the arm are kind of sticking out, and that can cause issues when you have a character that's kind of squeezing or in a balled fist. The fingers will look very mangled in a warped sort of way. And so if you fix these bones, they will help that look a lot better. So what I usually do is fix it from the top view, also an orthographic view as well. So hit 5 on the numpad to graphic and top view. And I click on the armature to select it, and then go tab into edit mode. Let me go find my character again. Here we go. I'm just going to fix one hand example because we can't really see the difference here. But it's just something you need to do depending on what your animation is. So let's give us some more space. And I'm going to hit Z to go into wireframe view. And what you want to do is quite simply click on each tail of each bone and line it up with the head of the next bone in line. And it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of, if you zoom in a little bit more, you can see better. Taking the tail of one and moving in line with the head of another, and taking this tail and put it at the end of the finger. Take this tail to the head, take this to the end of the finger, and do this for each finger. So you can see here they're sticking sideways out the finger. They're kind of sticking up, and I haven't really had a problem with that, but definitely when they're to the side like this, it's causes the finger to be very warped. Of course, you can experiment with this and see what works for you. Maybe you want to get more precise results. I don't think it's necessary, but you take these carpal bones and move the first one in between the first two fingers, and also take the second one. It's kind of hard to see. Here's the bone. Here's the end of it. I move between the second two fingers, and that should do it. So if you have a balled up hand, that should look a lot better now. I don't really mess with these being out of line. I don't know if it may help or not, but you can experiment and see, like I said before. And I think that does it. Now you know how to bring a Daz character into Blender. I hope you found this informative and helpful, and at least slightly entertaining. And maybe let me know if you find any tips yourself. Oh, let me get out of edit mode, hit tab. If you have any tips for me or to share with everybody else, please comment and subscribe and like and all that for the video, and share it with anybody that might be struggling with a similar workflow. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day. Before you go, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and support us on Patreon. Peace and blessings.